What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I've got a very special video for you. A lot of you have been requesting to see the Fire King Yubel profile you've seen highlighted in a couple of duels on the channel, so I thought I'd go directly to the source in order to provide that for you. So today we're going to have Yubel Master bring you their deck for the Yubel Fire King build, and then what I'll do is I'll link in the description to their channel, and then at the end of the video as well they will be looking to provide a combo video that you can go and see on their channel in a few days time. So with all of that out of the way, let's dive headfirst and see what this profile has to offer.
Hello everyone, Yubel Master here. Thanks for having me on the Zephyr Wargames channel, Dale. With all the introductions out of the way, why don't we just dive straight into the deck profile. This deck uses five different engines, the main one being Fire Kings, but it's also supplemented by the Sinful Spoils Snake Eye package for extra consistency. I also use some of the Sacred Beast and Unchained cards, which do synergize with the self-destruction capabilities of the Fire King cards, and tie in the Yubel theme into the deck. It might sound crazy, but trust me, it works. And I'd confidently say that other than the occasional brick with drawing too many Yubels in the hand, this deck pretty much is on par with every other Fire King build out there right now.
So let's get started with the Fire King engine, and we only run one Garunix because this is a very minimal engine. However, one Garunix is all you need since it can be searched and special summoned from the same effect whenever you use the Fire King Island field spell. So next up we have 3 Fire King High Avatar Kirin. This card is very good for having quick effect pops during your opponent's turn, as well as special summoning a Fire King monster from the grave and destroying a card whenever it itself is destroyed. Next up we have one of Fire King Avatar Barong. This card you use to destroy off of Garunix from the deck to set up a search for Kirin on your opponent's turn, so that you're guaranteed to have that quick effect pop. Also, from the level 4 lineup, we have one of Fire King Avatar Arvata. This card can be used to special summon something from the grave whenever it's destroyed, and also you can special summon it off of Kirin's effect from the graveyard for basically endless recursion. So this deck does actually have an incredible grind game. Next up, we have the most important Fire King of the deck, Legendary Fire King Ponix. This card has absolutely incredible recursion because every time during the standby phase, it brings itself back to the hand if it was destroyed the previous turn. And on summon, it can search any Fire King spell or trap from the deck, including the field spell as well. And speaking of the field spell, the ratios for the Sanctuary versus the field spell we're running is 2 Fire King Island and 1 Sanctuary. Now, most people run 3 Fire King Sanctuary in their deck, but since we're trying to minimize the engine to fit all of the other cards that we want to put in this deck, we only run 1 Sanctuary, and this is all we need. The reason why we run 2 Fire King Islands is because if you draw a Fire King Island and want to activate Sanctuary and have no more copies of Fire King Island in the deck, then you're missing out on value from activating it directly from the deck. And the second Fire King Island can be used for discard fodder for other cards, which we'll get into. As for other Fire King spells and traps, we're running 1 Fire King Skyburn and 1 Circle of the Fire Kings. Circle of the Fire Kings can special summon a fire monster from the grave by destroying 1 fire monster you control on the field, and Fire King Skyburn destroys an equal number of Fire Kings on your side of the field and cards on your opponent's side of the field. And next up we're going on to the next engine, and this is the Sinful Spoils engine. And for that we have 3 Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils. Yes, I did indeed break the bank for these cards, and if you're on a budget, I definitely do not recommend buying these cards. They do improve the deck by a lot, however, they are incredibly expensive. And for the other Sinful Spoils spells, we actually run 2 Sinful Spoils Snake Eye. You really only need 1 if you have the Wanted, and also you can run 3 original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye if you don't have the budget to get Wanteds. However, in this particular build, we have space for an extra copy of the Snake Eye, just to add that extra consistency for getting out Ponix. And for the final piece in the Sinful Spoils engine, we have 1 Diabell Star. Some people do run 1 Snake Eye Ash to summon off of the Sinful Spoils Snake Eye. However, in this build we don't need to, partly because we don't have the space for it, and also because we do need our normal summon for other engines, which we'll get onto. Next up we'll cover the Yubel cards. So we have 2 Yubel for the first form, and we have 1 Terra Incarnate and 1 Ultimate Nightmare as standard. So the reason why we run 2 Yubel here is because there's no way in the deck to actually search Yubel. So essentially we just have to rely on hard drawing it. Unfortunately, the Terra Incarnate and the Ultimate Nightmare are bricks if you draw them. However, drawing Yubel is very, very good in the deck, because if you get out the Fire King Island field spell in any kind of way, you can use Fire King Island to pop Yubel directly from the hand, and then Yubel summons Terra Incarnate straight from the deck. So it is rare to see these because you are only running 2 Yubels. You could up the Yubel count to 3 if you want to, but that does risk you drawing 2 Yubels, which is not ideal for this deck, especially since it's a dark and not a fire monster. So the only cards you can destroy Yubel with using the Fire King cards are the Fire King Island. However, we do have some Unchained cards which can destroy fiend monsters. Moving on to the next engine, we have the Sacred Beast cards, starting with 3 Dark Beckoning Beast. You may have seen Dark Beckoning Beast in quite a few of my other deck profiles. This card searches any card that mentions the Sacred Beasts on their card text, and also grants you an additional normal summon for any fiend monster with 0 attack and defense. And in this build, we are running 1 Chaos Summoning Beast. Now this one-of is to guarantee that we get the double normal summon, because sometimes when you start off with 1 opening of the Spirit Gates, you can search your Dark Beckoning Beast. However, Dark Beckoning Beast cannot search itself, so if you start with opening of the Spirit Gates and not with Dark Beckoning Beast, you can only get 1 normal summon off. Having the Chaos Summoning Beast guarantees that you get 2 normal summons off, which allows you to link 2 fiend monsters into Unchained Soul, Lord of Yama, which does start the Unchained combo. So as for the number of opening the Spirit Gates, we run 2 in this deck. We don't really need 3, however we do need a minimum of 2, in case one of the openings are drawn in the hand, just so that we can get extra value off Dark Beckoning Beast. Next up, we'll go into the Unchained engine. This is an incredibly small, minimal engine, because every one of these cards can be searched from the deck. But for the Unchained engine, we run 1 of the Red Dog, Unchained Soul of Shavara, 1 of the Blue Dog, Unchained Soul of Shyama, and 1 trap card, the Abominable Chamber of the Unchained. So usually the combo goes, after you've summoned Yama, you search the Red Dog, and then you discard it with the opening of the Spirit Gates, and then the Red Dog searches the trap card to set, and then if you find a way to get Yama into the grave, and then pop a card with one of your Fire King cards, then you can trigger Yama from the graveyard, and then pop your trap card after you've special summoned a fiend monster from the graveyard, and then summon the Blue Dog straight from the deck. And the Blue Dog also has its own recursion by destroying another set card or a fiend type monster on the field. So with these 3 cards alone, you can get an incredible amount of bodies on the field to do really high level link plays. I might show you guys some combos later on, but with 1 card, you can end on an Apollosa with 2 materials, as well as an Unchained Soul of Rage. So now onto the non-engine. We have 7 more slots left for non-engine, and for that we have 3 Ash Blossom, as well as 3 Imperm, and 1 Called by the Grave. So there we have it for the main deck. It's 40 cards exactly. And let's move on to the extra deck. So let's start off with the XYZ monsters. We have 3 XYZ monsters. 1 Garunix Eternity, Hyang of the Fire Kings. 1 Dingirsu, the Orcus of the Evening Star. And 1 Super Starslayer Typhon Sky Crisis. You need the new Garunix XYZ monster for XYZ summoning on your opponent's turn. And the Super Starslayer's Typhon did come up in 1 game, and it definitely helped out a lot. So that's it for the XYZ monsters. The rest of the monsters in this deck are Link monsters. So we'll start with a couple of Link 1s. We have Salamangreat Almirage and Relinquished Anima. Fire King Ponix is a level 1, so you can summon Anima using Ponix. And also you can bridge Anima into SP Little Knight if you need to. The Salamangreat Almirage is very useful, especially because it's a fire monster, which does come in handy a lot of the times when your hand isn't so good and you need a fire monster to destroy. Sometimes you can even go into Almirage using a Dark Beckoning Beast, since it's a normal summon monster with 1000 or less attack. And then you can still summon the Dark Beckoning Beast that you just sent to the graveyard to summon the Almirage by just discarding 1 card using opening the Spirit Gates. Therefore you can still go into Yama and summon Almirage for your fire monster if you need a fire monster to destroy. So next up we have a couple of Link 2s, IP Masquerena and SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight was in the deck profile for the previous deck that I brought to locals, which was the Destiny Hero Yubel deck. And again, I did have to break the bank to get this, but this is pretty much necessary in every deck if you want to bring your deck to the next level and keep up with the power creep of the game. So as for some more Link 2s, we have Hita the Fire Charmer and Pit Knight Early. Again, Pit Knight Early does synchronize with destruction decks, since it brings itself back in the end phase if it's destroyed by card effects or by battle. And one thing to note is that Pit Knight Early is also a fire monster, which does come in handy if you need a fire monster to destroy. So this does definitely synergize with Fire Kings very, very well, and is a generic Link 2 that can be summoned using only 2 effect monsters. Onto some high Link levels, we have Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess, and Underworld, Goddess of the Closed World. Appaloosa is a very good card to end on, using all of the bodies you can summon out, using the Unchained engine. And Underworld, Goddess of the Closed World is very useful to out things by linking off your opponent's monsters. So definitely a good card. Moving on to the Unchained Link monsters, we have 1 Unchained Soul, Lord of Yama. This card is used to start the Unchained line of the combo, because on summon it can search any Unchained monster from the deck. And as for the other Link monsters, we have 1 Unchained Soul of Rage, 1 Unchained Soul of Anguish, and 1 Unchained Abomination. So usually you want to end on the Unchained Soul of Rage, but more often than not you'll be summoning Unchained Soul of Anguish during the combo, mainly to get out of the Fiend Lock that the Red Dog puts you in. And sometimes you want to summon Unchained Abomination to get some extra destruction if you haven't triggered some of your Fire King effects. So that's the extra deck, definitely a mixed bag, quite the useful toolbox of Link monsters. So let's move on to the side deck, which unlike the previous video, I do actually have a side deck this time. It's pretty simple. We have 3 Solemn Judgment for when you're going first. And we have Harpy's Feather Duster plus 2 Lightning Storms for when you're going second or you need to go against a deck that has lots of spells and traps. And we have 3 Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood. This is for time. Now this is only a me thing because I am quite new to this deck, but I definitely think that you don't need to include these cards in your side deck once you get used to the combos and you have less games going into time. So this is definitely a temporary measure. And we have 3 DD Crow for decks that use the graveyard. And we have 3 Droll and Lockbird, which also come in the structure deck, by the way. So yeah, that's the deck profile, everyone.
Thanks again for having me on the Zephyr Wargames channel, and I'll pass you back to Dale.
Massive shout out to Yubel Master there for their profile. Absolutely amazing to kind of see what the deck can do. There are some really nice synergies and the Sacred Beast cards really do help. Keep in mind this is before the brand new Yubel Sport, which we will be getting in about a month's time roughly. So like I said at the start of the video, go and check out their channel. The link will be in the description below, and keep an eye out for that combo video that will be coming shortly from them as well. But for now, as absolutely always, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. And until next time, stay safe and of course, happy dueling.